Hey guys, Lucas from iExplore here, and today we're going to talk about a camera that you probably never heard of, the Samsung NV3. But just before that, I want to thank all of you who have supported us on Patreon. We really appreciate that. We got quite a few supporters recently in the last few weeks, and that's amazing. So thank you so much. If you haven't supported us, please consider it. Check out our Patreon. You do get these videos a little early and ad-free, as well as some other perks. Also, if you want to click on the referral links in the description, that helps us out. For example, this camera's down there. Just kidding, it's not, because you can't buy this because it's a 15-year-old camera and there's no referral link for it. All right, so let's get on to the video and talk about the Samsung NV3.
iExplore.
All right, so why am I telling you guys about the Samsung NV3? And no, we're not sponsored by Samsung to promote their 15-year-old camera that was like $200 when they came out. The reason I'm talking about this camera is that this was my first camera in 2007 that I bought for, as I just said, 200 bucks, because at the time I was becoming an exchange student in Japan. I was going to Tokyo for the first time and I didn't have any camera and I wanted one. So I got this little guy. I did have some experience shooting on other cameras. I mean, I remember at the time my dad had, I think, a Nikon, maybe he had a D200 or something like that. So I was around cameras thanks to my dad, who was into photography, but I didn't have my own. So I needed my own and I got this. And this is an interesting little gadget because, I mean, it's interesting for a number of reasons. First, for just what it is, but also for me personally and kind of what it meant to me at the time. But so first, maybe I'll tell you guys why it's important to me, and then we'll talk about this amazing specs of this 15-year-old point and shoot compact camera. But the reason I love this thing is because when I got into photography, I was very much a minimalist about it, like in these early days. I didn't want to have a big camera, and that's the sentiment that so many people share these days, right? You hear that a lot. I don't want a big camera. And so that's why people gravitate towards cameras like the Ricoh GR. And so we can also compare right away the size of the two cameras. You can see that it's much smaller than a Ricoh GR. It's quite a bit thinner and all that, right? So, but they didn't have these in 2007, or at least not this exact version. Let's get past this a little bit to the pachinko here, and they blasting the music in there, super loud. Yeah, so I like the idea of a very minimal, compact, simple camera. Of course, I was also a broke college student, so getting like a DSLR was out of the question. But nonetheless, I gravitated towards this. I like the simplicity of it. So, and I also do like the industrial design here, the product design. I mean, it's a beautiful little, mine's all beat up because it's old, but it was a very clean, you know, sexy little product that came out in the era of the iPod, when that was still like the thing, right? And has a 7.2 megapixel sensor that of course doesn't shoot RAW, JPEG only. They look pretty crap. I should probably show some. I'll show some photos right now on the screen from the good old days, from my 2007 visit to Japan, and then I'll take some as well. Maybe we'll start a little bit over here. Let me turn it on. It doesn't turn on super fast. And then we're going to use the P mode. I'm going to take a photo of this simple wall over here, because this is the kind of stuff I might shoot these days. Nothing to do with settings. I have it on P, but I don't think you can actually really control the different settings on P. I think you can just change the exposure on P, but it's been a while. But it took that at like f5.6 and a 60th of a second or something like that. It did show me the settings it chose. Let's go this way. And yeah, so this camera got me into photography. And then after about a year or 2 years or so, I got really tired of using it because it just didn't feel like it was enough. You know, the quality of the images wasn't amazing. And I didn't feel like I was taking photos myself. I was just pointing and shooting, which is what this is for, right? And that's when I got my D300, and then the rest is history. So photography grew from there for me. But this little guy, you know, holds a special spot in my heart. One other cool feature about it that I really liked was that it could play music. Again, this is the era before iPhones, before smartphones, right? So, oh, here we go. Let's do a little street photo here of this guy. This might be about the right kind of, oh my God, it's so slow. It's pretty quick to focus, but after you take a photo, it takes a long time to like save this photo and let you take the next photo. So that, well, yeah, wow. And by the way, I can't see almost anything on this screen. It's, you know, there's a lot of glare out here. It's not even that sunny today, but there's quite a lot of glare. and so the screen is very small, very low resolution, so it's very hard to see anything. But yeah, my favorite feature of this thing, or one of the reasons I got it when I was choosing cameras, I don't remember what else I was selecting it against, but it was the fact that it can play music. It has actually a headphone jack here on the side. Let me pop that open. There's a little headphone jack. It's not a 3.5 millimeter jack like a standard one. It's an even smaller one. I think like a 2.5 millimeter or something. And you can put MP3s on it and listen to them, which I did all the time when I came to Tokyo in 2007. I would snap some photos and then I would listen to music on the train. And so this is one of my, like, it helped, this little camera helped create my cherished memories of the good old days when I first came to Japan. Not only could you listen to the music on headphones, by the way, but these two nubs on top, these things here, these are speakers, right? So this is the power button, oh sorry, this is the shutter button, this is the power button, these two things are speakers. So you could actually bust this out at a picnic or something, play some music for your friends, and you can bet your ass that I did that when I came to Tokyo 2007, and we were drinking in the park and enjoying what's called the hanami, which is the cherry blossom season, which, by the way, the trees above me right now are cherry trees and they will be blooming in a few days, but not quite yet. And I played some music and everyone was like, oh yeah, that's cool, you have a camera that can play music, amazing. So yeah, and then a couple more features about the camera itself, like in terms of being a camera. It does have a zoom lens like a lot of these point and shoots do, and so, you know, there's a little nub on the back and you can zoom in and zoom out, and honestly it's not very responsive and quite slow. There we go. Well, we'll take a wide shot somewhere else. This is not an interesting scene. Here, I'll take a photo of this stuff here. And even at the widest, it's not very wide because I don't know how many millimeters this lens is. It's probably just like, it's probably something like a 7 millimeter or 9 millimeter lens. Does it say? It doesn't say. And I neglected to look it up before we shot this video. But the sensor is so small that no matter how wide this lens is, it's very cropped in. So the fact that it does get fairly wide, my guess, just looking at it, it's like a 35, 40 millimeter equivalent at the widest, something like that, compared to a full frame. And then when you zoom all the way in, it's maybe like a 100 or something, or an 85. It's pretty long, you know. You're shooting the street down there. Let's let the car pass. The car's not that interesting. To be honest, I know nobody cares, nobody's looking around and judging me, nobody knows what I'm using. I feel like kind of a dork using it because I have like a GR in my pocket. It's such a superior camera, but it's just interesting trying to relive the good old days with this thing. So yeah, so it has a zoom, and it has what cameras in these days, which I think they still do, have a digital zoom. So like it zooms optically up to a certain point, and then the rest of the way it's just blowing up the image, so it's making the low quality JPEG look even more low quality. The battery life is not very good. It's already about like 30% down, but that just might be, wow, this is okay, I'm gonna take a photo of this. I'm gonna take a photo of this with the proper camera because this is actually kind of a weird dark scene. So this jovial video is taking a dark turn. But this is wow. Alright, because it's like a kid in a stroller and the dad passed out, I guess, and a bunch of empty beer cans on the ground. That's sketchy. That's Ikebukuro for you. Anyway, yeah, maybe we cut that. So, oh, Axel's like, nope, don't cut it. No, don't cut it. This is interesting. Axel loves when there's something interesting in the videos like that, so we'll probably keep it in. Anyway. Oh wait, there's a pigeon up there. Here we go. Let's zoom in on this pigeon. Come on, zoom, zoom. There we go. Oh. Don't freak out, pigeon. I actually got it right in the good moment there. Watch out. Whoa! I got distracted by the truck because I didn't want Axel to get run over. But I did get one earlier where it was like kind of mid-flapping its wings without flying. That was interesting. All right. Let's let this bike go by. Pigeon poop down here, evidence that this is the danger zone. All right, let's go this way, away from the noise a little bit. Although I'll take a quick photo of this view here. I'll do a close-up, and then I'll zoom out. try to get the whole thing here. All right. So yeah, it has a zoom. It has the music capability. There's one more cool thing that I liked about it that I used a lot back in the day. So I had it on P mode just now, and it has, you know, the modes it has are like the auto mode. It has a MP3, of course, for playing music. It has a video mode, some scene modes, but it had this really cool feature called ASR up on this dial. Oh, and by the way, since we're talking about the dial, the sound this thing makes, oh, so satisfying. I used to click this thing so often. That was probably the best feature of the camera. But anyway, it has this ASR mode, automatic shake reduction. And I don't know if it'll really be good in the daytime to demonstrate this, because the purpose of this, yeah, it's not going to necessarily really do much in the daytime. The purpose of this mode was to reduce shake at night. So what the camera does, it actually takes 2 photos, or maybe even more than 2 photos, and then combines them, right? So that when you're shooting at night, you have a slow shutter, but by combining them, it will reduce the shake. That's the idea, the automatic shake reduction feature. And does that sound familiar? It sounds like what a lot of smartphones do these days, right? They take multiple photos and use computational photography to create these better images at night. Now, obviously, these are far inferior, but it's interesting to me that this camera from 2007 already had a similar concept. So this is like the primordial ooze of these kinds of computational photography concepts. And I used it because without that, this is a terrible camera at low light. I mean, by today's standards, this is a terrible camera even in broad daylight, let alone in dark Tokyo streets. But that ASR function was helpful. And I'm sure as I'm blabbing about this the whole time, there are photos on the screen from the good old days in Tokyo when I first came that are showing some of the results. They're not amazing, I know. But for the time, they were pretty cool. And I'm very grateful to this little camera for getting me into photography at such an early, time in my life, where I was still relatively new to life in general. I was only 20 years old when I got this camera. So I think we'll end it there. This video is not meant to be a deep showcase of what you can do with this, because obviously this is a vastly inferior and obsolete camera. But there you go, the Samsung NV3, a legend from the past, right? With a beautiful industrial design. I love how they design it. Very nice texture as well. I can't convey that so easily. Oh, I should show you guys the back as well. I don't think we looked at it. So there you go, that's what the controls look like. All right. So yeah, so that's it. If you have any maybe comments about it, let me know. And really, I would love to hear, what was your guys' first camera? What did you start with? And I mean, like, really start with. Don't tell me, oh, I started with a Nikon D300 like I did, because technically I started with this. This is the original camera. So, put that in the comments, and let's have a chat. I'm curious what everybody else started on. I'm sure some of you guys have been doing this way longer than me, and you probably started on something even way beyond this, probably on film in some cases, right? Anyway, let me know, and we'll talk about it. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. What else can I say? Challenge your eye.